So, hello, my dark lights. It's me, Miss Eclectic. Let's talk about knots. Yeah, from the other video. So, okay, I know I'm sitting here just like, oh my god, how do I want to hold my phone and stuff? I need to turn around and really like get myself a setup, but I'm in the bathroom, don't you know? So, anyhow, so knots. There are different ways of developing knots. So, let's kind of go through it. The first way is something outside of the body. It could be either when you end up having something that like kind of smacks you or pokes you. It could be something repetitive like wearing a backpack or a purse. So something that like creates a weight or it kind of like comes in externally can create a knot within like your vortexes of your acupressure points. Another way for knots to develop is chemically speaking. So if you're using your body over and over again, what will happen is that you will end up creating lactic acid. Lactic acid is a byproduct of ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. And that is the chemical that pretty much just fires off whenever you're using your muscles. So if you keep using your muscles over and over again and you're not properly like allowing your muscles to rest, you're not stretching them out and you're not hydrating, then it starts to create like a cluster of pretty much build up, and that is the lactic acid, and so that is another way that a knot will form. A third way for knots to form is because of our mental state of being. So if you're stressed and you're having like a stressed vibration, you end up causing your body to react certain ways to fight or flight kind of scenarios. So you'll end up sitting there and creating a vibration, and like you'll start to like do things inadvertently, and you'll change your posture, or you'll start doing certain things that will influence your body's behavior, and then that kind of creates knots in your energy fields as well. Because in every muscle group, there are certain vortexes that cluster together for different reasons around certain points. A lot of it will start around where the muscle attaches and where the muscle attaches on one end and the other end. So the insertion and the origin. The origin is where it starts, where it grows from. The insertion is where it attaches to. So whenever you do a movement, it's usually where it attaches, the insertion, that heads towards the origin. So you'll end up having knots towards both attachment sites and pretty much in the middle of the muscle as well. And all of those knots and all of those points actually line up in Eastern medicine as well as Western medicine. In Western medicine, we call it trigger point therapy, and we just look at the muscles themselves, and then we figure out where the points are within the muscle depending upon how it's shaped and how it functions and whatever. In the Western, or that's our Western scale, which is trigger point therapy. On the Eastern scale, it's done by energy. So pretty much the vortexes, how the energy flows, it's like meridian points and everything. And so those meridian points end up also laying into the trigger points as well. So acupressure and trigger point therapy are pretty much the same thing. So whenever you're sitting there and you're dealing with knots, not only are you impeding yourself on a physical level, because that knot will make it hard for you to kind of move around. It will make things kind of a little more strenuous. You'll feel a little bit more tired because you're having to do more, because you're having to compensate for a blockage being inside of your physical muscle. And it also affects you energetically, because then your energy field is not flowing and your blood isn't flowing correctly as well, because energy and blood are the same thing. So as long as your blood is pumping, then there's energy coursing through your vein, because you are magnetic, and it has to do with your blood and how your blood circulates through your body. So As you sit there, and the good way of dealing with knots is there's a couple of different ways. Massage therapy, because we can get into your muscles, we can kind of like manipulate your muscles, we can push out all the fluids, we can start to break down the knots, we can start to help the breakdown of the lactic acid. And yeah, so stuff like deep tissue therapy will help to break down muscle, or to help break down knots and everything. Another way is, I need to do a course on how to do self-care. And then another way is doing manipulation at home, taking like a tennis ball, or you could take a lacrosse ball, you could take a foam roller in certain parts of your body and just roll out all of that lactic acid yourself. You can do that manually. You could just take your hand and just like rub yourself, have your spouse or a friend or a kid turn around and give you a good back rub or something too. That's another way. You can start to ingest salt water, to put like maybe a teaspoon or a tablespoon within 8 ounces of water, depending upon how your body deals with electrolytes and how your body is conductive. And you can also put Epsom salt into a nice, really warm to hot, as hot as you can get it, bath. Soak in it. If you can't turn around and take a bath, then take your favorite body wash, add a good amount of salt into it, shake it up, and then just make sure that you like scrub all of that ickiness, like get into your muscles, like, and like while you're in the shower, turn the shower on nice and hot and like lather that salt into your muscle, and then just like let it rinse out too. Like that's a good way of doing it as well. From there, you can also just like start being more mindful of the things that you're eating. Try to change up your diet and stretching. I cannot stress stretching enough. A lot of people will sit down and they will stretch incorrectly just because of how long they're holding it. You have to allow for time for your muscles to relax. Please do not tell me 10 seconds anymore, people. You're killing me inside, because how do you know that your muscle has stretched out within 10 seconds? It's better to at least start off by 3 minutes to kind of see how long it takes for the muscle. When you start getting to at least 30 seconds to a minute, you will notice that your muscle will start shaking and it feels like, oh crap, and you want to stop. You want to push through the pain. It's not real pain. It's just that your muscle is so used to being tight that it's just like it doesn't want to release itself. It needs to release itself in order for the blood to flow again and to remove those lactic acid and to remove that knot. And pretty much if you can stretch out the muscle, then the blood can flow through just like a river does, and it will be able to cut those knots little by little as it flows through. So please hold your stretches for at least 3 minutes. I have held stretches to the point where I have gone to sleep. That shit is no joke. It is amazing. Afterwards, you feel like Gumby and you're just like, oh my God, I'm on cloud nine. It's better than sex. But yes, that's another way of going through and trying to remove knots from yourself as well. I kind of hope that this was at least a little bit more educational and people kind of understand knots a little bit more. And yeah, so Miss Eclectic, if I can shed some light for somebody, then that's great. Take care, y'all. Bye.